Niamh Moran, you're very welcome to the Longford local election series. You're an independent candidate in the Ballymahon area. Why should people vote for you in this upcoming election?
Well, I think being an independent is quite important. Think people are kind of disillusioned with party politics at this stage. Why they should vote for me is completely personal. It's all down to my issues. They're stated on my literature. They include the likes of, my main issue would be a safe car park in Ballymahon. Currently we have 1,100 students in Ballymahon. We've 3 fabulous schools. We've no off-street car parking and it's mayhem. So about 6 months ago I was one of the founding members of a committee, and we've been working away to try and get that issue solved. So that would be one of my main ones.
And I know you have talked before, and you have clips on YouTube and on your Facebook page, and you've mentioned your age profile as something that you think is important in the election. Well, why would that be important in an election?
Well, it's important not so much for election, also for if you are a public representative. Everyone should be represented. I think now people under the age of 35 are kind of not represented.
But they do have councillors there that
Absolutely.
they voted for, and I mean, it doesn't really make any difference whether the person is 30 odd or 60 odd when they're still doing their work.
I think you can have more of a personal connection with someone if they're closer to the age. They understand your personal issue and maybe they've gone through it themselves.
But would it be fair to say that at county council level you're going to be talking about things like you've mentioned the car park in Ballymahon, you're talking about filling potholes, roads, major issues that people 18 to 30 don't need a different communication system than anybody else for those kind of issues. The same language, the same people can do them irrespective of their age, can't they?
Absolutely, but I think being a younger candidate is a big advantage because people contact me through Facebook, Skype, text messages, everything. It's kind of all based on internet now, and it's I can talk to people that maybe they wouldn't be comfortable coming to me, but they would through social media.
Another area that you've talked about on the internet has been the representation of Ballymahon Town, and I think you feel Ballymahon Town has been underrepresented. Do you think that's a fair opinion to hold?
I think it is. We're the 5th largest growing town in Ireland. There's 13,000 people in South Longford. Ballymahon is booming. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot to be done. So 114 years ago when the council first started, we had 1 representative, and currently we only have 1 now still.
Would it not be fair to say that the Ballymahon area is the biggest local electoral area in Longford? It is a lot of councillors representing. It'll have a lot of candidates. And that in general the greater Ballymahon region is very well represented at Longford, and that it might be a bit disingenuous to say Ballymahon Town deserves more representation when the Ballymahon area has, as is laid down constitutionally, its adequate representation.
Yes, well that's true, but I think that Ballymahon Town needs someone there also. We've got fabulous councillors there now, all in the peripheral areas, but Ballymahon Town needs a representative.
And I presume you would be making that argument to the people, but you mentioned the car park, which obviously is something you're working on and have been, but to the wider public, and you will be representing the Ballymahon electoral area, you'll be representing Longford at a local level across the county if you're elected. What would be the issues that you see as a priority right now?
My main other priority would be full international Garda vetting for local authority housing. Longford has currently, I think, 1,800 houses in its property that are being represented. So that kind of equates to nearly 5,000 people in houses, including whole families. So I think that a full international Garda vetting would be so important. I don't think anybody would be against that. It would just stop the kind of one rotten egg that might ruin a whole area.
Give people example, because that's something people will hear and say international Garda vetting, and it sounds. But what's the practical application of that?
Well, the practical application would be take a big maybe a big estate, maybe there's 30, 40 houses in it. People are vying for local authority houses every day. I think there's currently 1,250 people on the list. So people wouldn't be afraid when a house becomes vacant beside them. They wouldn't be afraid of who's going to move in, be it someone that has like a drug history or even something like paedophilia. It's very important that people can be safe knowing that their neighbours are internationally Garda vetted.
Would that not be somewhat controversial, though? I mean,
absolutely.
Isn't it unfair? If somebody has a drug history and they have been clean and they are starting out, aren't they as entitled, if not more so, to local authorities helping them to get back on their feet?
But it should be known to the local authority if they have been, as you say, there was a drug problem, and if they have been clean and safe for years. For what purpose, though,
other than to stop them getting the house then?
It's not really. I don't think anyone would disagree with this unless someone has something to hide. If someone did have a problem and they can say that they have been safe for an upstanding citizen for the last 5 years, then...
And would this mean that then ordinary people are also going to have to be Garda vetted for every house? Every applicant for local authority house has to be Garda vetted?
Yes.
Is that not somewhat Big Brother in an approach?
I don't think so. The majority of people, I'd say 99.9% of people, are absolutely fine. What I can see in local authority houses is there is people with families, and sometimes we have a green area out the front. Kids can run around safely and parents can be safe in the knowledge that they know their neighbours.
I think most people might agree with you insofar as to say if local authority housing, somebody with a crime like paedophilia, somebody who is a known drug dealer, something like that, they seem to be the easy cases. But in order to make this happen, you would have to define for the county council exactly what stops a person getting a house.
Well, it wouldn't be stopping someone getting a house.
But what would be the point, in other words, in the council knowing? If they still have to give the house.
Well, they don't have to give the house. Well, it would be a defined...
So it is stopping them getting a house?
If you want to put it that way. It would stop them getting a house maybe in a residential area, in a family area. There would be other places that they could, qualify for a house.
What other issues do you think? I mean, Longford as a county has people are looking for this local elections to find people who will populate a council that may give genuine leadership. What can Niamh Moran do for Longford as a county that can show that kind of leadership?
The first thing I'm going to do is what I think isn't being done already. I'm going to listen. It's like I did in my YouTube videos. People come to me with issues that they feel strongly about. That's the first thing I'm going to do, is ask the people what to do.
Okay, this is an interesting area because it's one that is growing in terms of debate right now. And it's a nice thing to say that I want to listen to people, but really isn't the purpose of Niamh Moran standing as a councillor to give leadership to people, to say, look, this is what Niamh Moran stands for. These are my issues, not to follow what the people want.
Well, I think I have defined my issues, and especially with my YouTube videos and this interview here. But again, I am open to suggestions. I don't pretend to have all the answers. At the end of the day, I will have to ask for help.
And in terms of do you have a vision or a plan for where you would like Longford to be? Because when people come to voting, rather than saying, let's say, it was very good that you're going to listen to me, but I need to know what kind of person you are that I'm going to elect, as opposed to you're going to get us a car park in Ballymahon, that's good. You have a proposal on Garda vetting. But surely you must have more than that there that you want to achieve for Longford. And
absolutely.
What are those things?
Well, I think in Ballymahon we have wonderful amenities. The whole county of Longford has fabulous amenities. Take the Royal Canal, Newcastle Forest, the River Inny, fabulous amenities. And if we could hone in on them, and maybe with someone that is representative of Ballymahon and of the greater Longford area, someone that can draw in investment, maybe bring tourism back to Ballymahon, back to Longford.
And do you think that's something you can influence at council level?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's already, small tourism attractions in Ballymahon. There's kind of local kayaking clubs and everything that are using these wonderful amenities. It just has to be honed, and someone has to take the time to develop it a bit more.
And as I say, you're looking for election in probably the biggest local electoral area. you will need to get votes outside of Ballymahon town.
Absolutely.
And do you have, when it comes to planning the area, planning output Longford, because you are an independent candidate,
That's
so you
right.
don't have a party colleague in Edgeworthstown or Lanesborough or any of the other areas. Have you been looking out there at those areas and saying, look, I want to involve them, I know what their issues are?
Absolutely.
And is that going to be a priority for you?
Absolutely.
So you would reject any kind of statement that Niamh Moran is just for Ballymahon
town?
Oh,
no.
And when it comes to getting in there, what do you think you're going to face in Longford County Council? Because young candidates, new candidates, are very often accused of wanting to go in, high hopes of changing the world and doing things. But when they're faced with where real power lies, which is with county managers and officials in there, have you got the experience to deal with them, do you think, and make things happen with them to influence their decision-making process?
I think so. One of my, I suppose, how I go to anything is all homework and research and doing the work. And I think that if I go into Longford County Council, I've already introduced myself to everyone. I'm already known in the council offices. I've started to talk to people. I've started to get things done already. It's all down to homework, doing the work. And I think that if they see that I'm a hard worker, they'll definitely try and help.
And in terms of the other issues that are facing the big area for Ballymahon generally and at this time has been things like flooding and the Shannon and all that. Have you any thoughts on those things?
Well, I'm actually a member of the Shannon Protection Alliance.
Right.
So, and I'm also studying environmental studies in college. So the environment is a big issue for me.
So you would be opposed to the idea of the Shannon water going
by
to
Dublin City Council?
Dublin City Council?
Absolutely opposed. Absolutely.
And was there not some merit in the argument that this might assist reduce flooding in the area?
No, they've actually, scientists have proven that it will not reduce flooding. Dublin City Council have also said it won't have any impact on flooding at all.
And you think it would have a very negative impact upon the Shannon? I mean, there's plenty of research from Bortnamona and others arguing that this would not have any detrimental effect on the Shannon
No, that is
itself.
completely wrong. I mean, if we take the River Inny, the River Inny I stood in it in the summer, it was only up to my ankle. If Dublin was to extract water, as they propose 10 months of the year, there would be no Inny in the summer. Okay.
And going back just to finish up in terms of the arguments you made about getting people to choose the issues, you are going to be a listening candidate, but are you going to give people that leadership to say, I know when to say no to people and when I have to say no? There's a famous speech by Edmund Burke to the electors of Bristol back in the 1700s, dismissing this idea of people arguing just to go with the people. Are you going to be able to give that leadership in Ballymahon? Do you feel you're strong enough to tell people no?
Absolutely.
Even when it's unpopular? Absolutely.
Honesty is then again the best policy. If people say, do this, if you say it's not achievable, or it's not a good idea, it can't be done, anything, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
And then in the term of the next council, if you were to get elected, and people were to say, right, well, let's give Niamh Moran a chance, what would you rate as success by the time you're facing the electorate again? What are the things you would like to be able to have under your belt and say, I achieved that by the time you would be through
well,
that term?
I think as I go out to canvass, I give out my literature, obviously. There's about 5 or 6 points there that are very achievable, and I intend to do them in those 5 years. If I could do them in the 5 years, that would be success.
Can you tell us what they are very quickly?
As we mentioned, the Garda vetting, the bus car park, the kind of to make the local authority more transparent would be a big one as well. Okay. Just general, my local issues, if I got those done in the 5-year term, I would be very happy.
Okay. Niamh Moran, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.